Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The corner of Amari's temporary refuge presented a peculiar sight. Cardboard castles rose from the floor, a labyrinth of his mother's entrepreneurial spirit. With a weary exhale, Amari navigated through this cardboard citadel, searching for a sanctuary amidst the chaos. His abode, recently claimed by the unpredictability of water pipes, had left him displaced and seeking shelter in his mother's home office.
"Forgive me for the invasion, dear,"
echoed a voice from the threshold, belonging to none other than the matriarch herself. "Although it's far from perfect, this is far more welcoming than the chaotic garage, I assure you." Amari's hand grazed through his sun-kissed mane as he surveyed the fortress. "It's quite all right, Mother." "Well, business has been booming lately. Who knew my little side hustle would take over the house?" She gestured proudly at the inventory surrounding them. 30% growth last quarter. Not bad for a Pantyhose subscription service, right? Not bad at all, Amari agreed, genuinely impressed. His mother had started the business 3 years ago after retiring from her corporate job, and what began as a hobby had blossomed into a thriving enterprise. Pantyhose Perfection Monthly catered to enthusiasts who appreciated quality hosiery delivered directly to their doors. Patricia patted a nearby box. "Dinner will be ready in about an hour. Make yourself at home, as much as you can, anyway." After she left, Amari surveyed his temporary living quarters. A twin bed had been wedged against one wall, and a small desk occupied another corner. The rest of the space belonged to his mother's inventory. Boxes of various pantyhose styles, marketing materials, and shipping supplies. He unpacked his clothes into the small dresser provided, then sat on the bed, unsure what to do next. His laptop was back at his apartment, deemed safe from the water damage but inaccessible until tomorrow. His phone battery was nearly dead. With nothing else to occupy his time, Amari found himself examining the boxes that surrounded him. One carton was open, revealing glossy brochures showcasing the subscription options. He picked one up, flipping through pages of models displaying various styles of pantyhose. Another box contained samples, individual pairs packaged in sleek envelopes with the company logo embossed in silver. Amari had never given much thought to pantyhose before. They were just something women wore sometimes, unremarkable in his eyes. But as he read through the marketing materials, he was surprised by the passionate language used to describe them. Luxurious texture, transformative patterns, empowering confidence. A customer testimonial caught his eye. "I never knew how much the right pair of hose could change how I feel about myself. The patterns make me feel artistic, bold, unique." Curious, Amari reached into the sample box and pulled out a package. Inside was a pair of navy blue pantyhose with a subtle geometric pattern. He ran his fingers over the material, surprised by its softness. Why are people so passionate about these? He wondered aloud, examining the intricate diamond pattern more closely. Without really thinking about it, Amari slipped off his jeans. He hesitated for a moment, feeling slightly ridiculous, then carefully unfolded the pantyhose. Following the instructions on a nearby pamphlet about proper application to avoid runs, he slowly pulled them on. The sensation was unlike anything he'd experienced. Cool against his skin at first, then warming to his body temperature. The material hugged his legs snugly, creating a smooth silhouette. He stood up and looked down at his legs, now transformed by the navy geometric pattern. A strange feeling washed over him, not embarrassment as he might have expected, but something else entirely. The pantyhose felt right somehow. comfortable, almost like a second skin. Amari walked to the full-length mirror attached to the closet door and studied his reflection. The contrast between his everyday white t-shirt and the patterned hosiery was jarring but not unpleasant. He turned, examining how the material caught the light. "Dinner's ready." His mother's voice from downstairs startled him. "Coming," he called back, hastily removing the pantyhose and pulling his jeans back on. He carefully refolded the hosiery and returned it to its package, then tucked it under his pillow without examining why he felt the need to hide it. Throughout dinner, Amari found his thoughts drifting back to the pantyhose. The feeling of wearing them had been unexpectedly pleasant. The way they transformed his legs into something sleek and elegant fascinated him. Over the next few days, Amari settled into a routine at his mother's house. During the day, he worked remotely from the small desk in the corner of the office, surrounded by his mother's inventory. In the evenings, when Patricia was occupied with her television shows downstairs, he began experimenting with the sample pantyhose. Each night, he tried a different pair. Sheer black ones that made his legs look impossibly long, burgundy fishnet that created interesting shadows on his skin, opaque gray with subtle silver threading that caught the light when he moved. A week into his stay, Amari found himself browsing his mother's product catalog more thoroughly. He was particularly drawn to the geometric patterns, bold diamonds, hexagons, and intricate latticework in vibrant colors. One evening, as he examined a pair of sapphire blue pantyhose with an overlapping hexagon pattern, his mother knocked on the door. Amari scrambled to hide the hosiery under a pillow. "Come in," he called, hoping his voice sounded normal. Patricia poked her head in. "I'm heading to the wholesale supplier tomorrow to pick up new inventory. Want to come along? You've been cooped up in here for days." Amari hesitated, then nodded. "Sure, that sounds good." The next morning, they drove to a large warehouse on the outskirts of town. Inside, Patricia moved confidently through the aisles, consulting her inventory list and selecting boxes of merchandise. Amari trailed behind, fascinated by the variety of hosiery available, colors and patterns he hadn't seen in his mother's current stock. "What do you think of these?" Patricia held up a package containing amethyst purple pantyhose with a geometric pattern of interlocking diamonds. "I'm considering adding them to the premium line." Amari stared at them, immediately imagining how they would look on. "They're interesting. The pattern is really unique." "You've developed quite an eye for this," his mother remarked, seemingly pleased. "I noticed some of my samples have been opened. Been studying the competition for me?" She winked. Heat rushed to Amari's face. I was just curious about your business." Patricia laughed. "Well, I appreciate the interest. Here, help me pick out some new patterns for next season." As they moved through the warehouse, Amari found himself genuinely enjoying the selection process. He gravitated toward bold geometric patterns in jewel tones, sapphires, emeralds, amethysts, with his mother nodding approvingly at his choices. "You know," she said as they loaded boxes into the car, "if you're interested in the business, I could use some help with the marketing materials. Your eye for design might be just what I need." Amari smiled, surprised by how appealing the idea sounded. "I'd like that." That night, alone in the office, Amari removed the amethyst pantyhose from the packages they'd brought home. He slipped them on, admiring how the purple diamonds seemed to shift and change as he moved his legs. Something felt incomplete, though. The pantyhose looked odd with his baggy t-shirt. Acting on impulse, he opened his mother's closet, where she kept some overflow inventory including a few simple dresses used for photo shoots. A black wrap dress caught his eye. Simple, elegant, and unlikely to be missed. Amari took it from the hanger and held it against himself. Before he could overthink it, he pulled it over his head. The dress settled around him, the soft fabric draping naturally over his frame. Combined with the amethyst pantyhose, the effect was striking. He turned to the mirror and barely recognized himself. The person staring back wasn't quite Amari anymore. Someone new gazed from the glass. Someone with possibilities he'd never considered. Over the next few weeks, Amari's exploration deepened. He began staying up late after his mother had gone to bed to experiment with more complete outfits. The wrap dresses suited him best, their adjustable fit accommodating his broader shoulders while emphasizing a waistline he'd never paid attention to before. He ordered a few items online, using his own money, a simple padded bra to create the suggestion of a feminine figure, a bottle of neutral nail polish, a subtle lip tint. Each addition brought him closer to the image forming in his mind. One night, as he studied his reflection, now wearing a navy wrap dress, sapphire geometric pantyhose, and with his blonde hair styled differently, a name floated into his consciousness. Elena. The name felt right, like something that had been waiting for him to discover it.
Elena,
he whispered to his reflection, testing how it sounded. That night, lying in bed surrounded by his mother's inventory, Amari made a decision. She wanted to embrace this new identity. Elena wasn't just a costume or an experiment. She was who Amari had perhaps always been meant to become. The next morning, Amari approached her mother at breakfast. "Mom, I need to talk to you about something important." Patricia looked up from her coffee, expression open but curious. "What is it, honey?" Taking a deep breath, Amari began to explain about the pantyhose, about the dresses, about Elena. Words tumbled out, sometimes coherent, sometimes not, but Patricia just listened, her face softening as understanding dawned. When Amari finally fell silent, Patricia reached across the table and took her hand. "So, you want me to call you Elena now?" Amari nodded, throat tight with emotion. "And you've discovered that you're transgender? That you identify as a woman?" Another nod, more confident this time. Patricia squeezed her hand. "Thank you for telling me. I love you, no matter what name you use or how you dress. If Elena is who you are, then I'm happy to meet her." The acceptance was overwhelming. Amari, now firmly Elena in her own mind, felt tears spill down her cheeks. "I don't know what to do next," she admitted. "This all happened so fast." "Well," Patricia said practically, "I think we need to get you your own clothes for starters. Mine are all wrong for your body type, and maybe a proper wig until your hair grows out, if that's what you want." Elena touched her short blonde hair. "I think I'd like to grow it out naturally, but maybe some styling products to help in the meantime?" Patricia nodded. "We can do that. And whatever else you need, one step at a time, okay?" The days that followed were transformative. Patricia helped Elena select clothes that flattered her frame. More wrap dresses in solid colors that paired beautifully with her growing collection of patterned pantyhose. They found shoes that fit properly, chunky heeled boots that Elena fell in love with instantly. Together, they created a space for Elena to emerge fully. Patricia converted part of her office into a proper bedroom, moving inventory to make room for Elena's new wardrobe. She introduced Elena to a friend who worked as a makeup artist, who gave lessons in applying subtle, natural-looking makeup that enhanced rather than masked. 2 months after that first conversation, Elena stood in her room, no longer just a temporary space, but truly hers, and surveyed herself in the mirror. Her blonde hair, now free from its masculine cut, had grown just enough to style in a feminine pixie. She wore an emerald green wrap dress that complemented her figure, paired with amethyst pantyhose featuring an intricate geometric pattern. Chunky black boots with a 3-inch heel completed the outfit. For the first time in her life, Elena felt truly aligned with her external appearance. The discord that had always hummed beneath the surface of her consciousness, so constant she hadn't even recognized it, had finally quieted. Her phone chimed with a text message. It was her mother. "Dinner reservation at 7. Ready for your first night out as Elena?" Elena took a deep breath, checking her reflection one last time. "Ready," she texted back. The restaurant Patricia had chosen was upscale, but not intimidating, a place where they weren't known as regulars. A perfect setting for Elena's first public appearance. As they were led to their table, Elena felt eyes on her, but held her head high, focusing on the confidence her outfit gave her. The geometric patterns of her pantyhose caught the light as she walked, reminiscent of stained glass. "You look beautiful," Patricia said once they were seated. "How do you feel?" Elena considered the question. "Nervous," she admitted. "But right, like I've finally found myself." Their server approached the table. "Good evening, ladies. Can I start you with something to drink?" The simple acknowledgement, "ladies," sent a wave of validation through Elena. She ordered a glass of wine, her voice steady and sure. Throughout dinner, Elena grew more comfortable. The initial anxiety faded as she realized most people weren't paying any special attention to her. She was just another woman enjoying dinner with her mother. As they finished their meal, Patricia raised her glass in a toast. "To new beginnings. And to Elena. I'm so proud of the woman you're becoming." Elena clinked her glass against her mother's, emotion making it difficult to speak. "Thank you for everything." On the drive home, Patricia brought up a subject they'd been avoiding. "Have you thought about what you'll do when your apartment is fixed? The contractors said it should be ready next week." Elena stared out the window, watching streetlights blur past. "I've been thinking about that. I'm not sure I want to go back to living as Amari, but I don't know how to be Elena there, where everyone knows me differently." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "You know, I've been meaning to talk to you about the business. It's gotten too big for me to handle alone, and you've shown such an aptitude for it. Would you consider coming on as a partner? We could convert the guest room into your permanent space." "You mean it?" Elena turned to look at her mother. "You'd want to work with me?" "Absolutely. Your eye for patterns and styling has already improved our catalog. And frankly, having you around has made the house feel like a home again." The offer was tempting. Working with her mother would give Elena time to adjust to her new identity in a supportive environment before facing the wider world. "I'd like that," she said finally. "Thank you." The following week, Elena officially became part of Pantyhose Perfection Monthly. Her first project was redesigning the catalog to showcase the geometric patterns she loved so much, photographed on models of diverse body types. She also began the process of legally changing her name from Amari to Elena, a step that felt both terrifying and exhilarating. Her mother accompanied her to appointments with therapists who specialized in gender identity, helping Elena navigate the complex emotions that arose during her transition. 3 months into her new life, Elena received an invitation to a fashion trade show in Chicago. Patricia had originally planned to attend, but a minor surgery scheduled for the same week made that impossible. "You should go," Patricia insisted. "It's a great opportunity to make connections for the business." And, she added with a knowing smile, a chance for Elena to spread her wings a bit. The prospect was intimidating. Elena had grown comfortable being herself at home and in their small town, where her mother's support cushioned any awkward encounters. A business trip to Chicago meant navigating airports, hotels, and the trade show entirely on her own. "I don't know if I'm ready," she admitted. Patricia squeezed her hand. "You are. I've watched you blossom these past months. Your confidence grows every day. Besides, Chicago is the perfect place. Nobody knows you there. You'll just be Elena, a businesswoman representing her company." After much deliberation, Elena agreed. She spent the next 2 weeks preparing, selecting outfits appropriate for a professional setting while still expressing her personal style. She settled on a collection of wrap dresses in solid colors, navy, burgundy, forest green, paired with her signature geometric patterned pantyhose and chunky heeled boots. The morning of her departure arrived all too quickly. Elena stood in her room, suitcase packed, wearing a navy wrap dress with sapphire pantyhose featuring an overlapping hexagon pattern. Her blonde hair, now grown to a short bob, was styled in soft waves that framed her face. "You look perfect," Patricia said from the doorway. "Professional, but with that unique Elena flair." "I'm terrified," Elena admitted, adjusting the belt of her dress. "What if someone realizes—" "They won't," Patricia interrupted firmly. "All they'll see is a confident woman with impeccable taste in hosiery. But even if someone did question, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You are Elena now. That's all that matters." The trip to the airport was a blur of last-minute advice and reassurances. As Elena checked her bag and received her boarding pass, issued in her new legal name, a sense of possibility replaced some of her anxiety. On the plane, seated next to an elderly woman who complimented her lovely pantyhose, Elena felt a growing certainty that this trip represented more than just a business opportunity. It was her debut as the person she was meant to be, without the safety net of her mother's immediate presence. The trade show itself was a whirlwind of activity. Elena navigated the convention center in her chunky heeled boots, the geometric patterns of her pantyhose, drawing appreciative glances from fashion buyers and fellow vendors. She distributed business cards, discussed wholesale opportunities, and even gave an impromptu interview to a blogger covering innovative small businesses. Throughout it all, no one questioned her identity. She was simply Elena, the stylish representative of Pantyhose Perfection Monthly, with an eye for unique patterns and a passion for quality hosiery. On the final evening of the trade show, Elena attended a networking reception for vendors. She wore her favorite outfit, the emerald wrap dress with amethyst geometric pantyhose and her most comfortable black boots. Her blonde hair, styled in loose waves, caught the light as she moved through the crowded room.
"That pattern is extraordinary,"
a voice said behind her. "I've been admiring it all evening." Elena turned to find a woman about her age, dressed in a sleek pantsuit, extending her hand. "Morgan Chen, buyer for Lux Department Stores." Taking the offered hand, Elena introduced herself. "Elena Winters, Pantyhose Perfection Monthly." "Those designs are exclusive to your company?" Morgan asked, gesturing to Elena's pantyhose. "Yes, we specialize in unique geometric patterns. I actually helped develop this particular line. They're stunning. Our customers would love them." Morgan handed Elena a business card. "I'd like to discuss carrying your products in our stores. Could we meet for breakfast tomorrow before the final day of the show?" The potential deal was larger than anything Elena had anticipated. Her mother had hoped to make connections that might lead to opportunities months down the line, not an immediate offer from a major department store chain. "That would be perfect," Elena replied, surprised at the steadiness of her voice despite her internal excitement. The breakfast meeting the next morning exceeded all expectations. Morgan was impressed not only with the product, but with Elena's vision for how it could be marketed to Lux's clientele. By the time they finished their coffee, they had outlined an initial order that would put Pantyhose Perfection monthly products in 3 flagship Lux stores as a trial run.
If these perform as well as I expect, we'll expand to all 32 locations,
Morgan explained, reviewing the numbers they'd discussed.
Your aesthetic is exactly what we've been looking for. Unique, without being too avant-garde for our customer base.
Elena felt a surge of pride. This was her aesthetic, her vision coming to life. The patterns she'd gravitated toward from the beginning were now becoming the cornerstone of a major business opportunity. As they parted ways, Morgan held Elena's gaze for a moment longer than necessary.
I'm really looking forward to working with you, Elena. Your confidence in your style is refreshing.
On the flight home, Elena could barely contain her excitement. She'd called her mother immediately after the meeting, both of them almost speechless at the magnitude of the opportunity. But beyond the business success, Elena was celebrating a more personal victory. She had navigated 4 days as herself, completely independently, and thrived. Patricia was waiting at the airport when Elena's flight landed. They embraced tightly, both talking at once about the Lux deal and what it meant for their business. As they drove home, Patricia glanced over at her daughter. I knew you could do it. Not just the business part, though that's absolutely amazing, but being Elena out in the world on your own. Elena smiled, running her hand over the geometric pattern on her pantyhose. It felt natural. For the first time in my life, I wasn't pretending to be someone else. I was just me. The months that followed brought rapid changes. The Lux deal expanded from 3 stores to all 32 within the first quarter, necessitating a move from Patricia's home office to a small warehouse space with room for additional employees. Elena's geometric pattern line became their signature product, with fashion magazines featuring the distinctive designs in style spreads. Elena herself continued to evolve, growing more comfortable in her identity with each passing day. Her blonde hair now reached her shoulders, styled in gentle waves that softened her features. She maintained her distinctive style, wrap dresses in solid colors, paired with boldly patterned pantyhose and her beloved chunky-heeled boots, which had become something of a trademark among industry insiders. A year after that first trade show, Elena found herself back in Chicago, this time to accept an award for entrepreneurial innovation from a fashion industry association. Standing at the podium in a burgundy wrap dress and sapphire geometric pantyhose, her blonde hair elegantly styled, she addressed the audience with a confidence that would have been unimaginable to the person who had once been Amari. "Thank you for this recognition," she began, surveying the room filled with fashion industry leaders. 2 years ago, I was temporarily living in a room full of pantyhose inventory, trying to figure out my next step in life. A soft chuckle rippled through the audience.
What I discovered there wasn't just a business opportunity, but a path to becoming authentically myself. Elena caught her mother's eye in the front row, seeing the pride and love reflected there. Sometimes transformation comes from unexpected places, she continued. For me, it was in the bold geometric patterns and vibrant colors that now define our brand. These designs didn't just change our company, they changed me. They gave me the courage to embrace who I truly am. Her voice steady and clear, Elena concluded her speech. I accept this award on behalf of everyone at Pantyhose Perfection Monthly, especially my mother and business partner Patricia, who supported my vision both professionally and personally.
but I also accept it as a celebration of authenticity and the beauty that emerges when we have the courage to become who we're meant to be. The applause was enthusiastic, the audience rising to their feet. As Elena made her way back to her table, several people stopped her to offer congratulations and business cards. Later that evening, at a quiet dinner with her mother, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought her to this point. "Did you ever imagine this is where we'd end up when I moved into your office that day?" she asked, twirling her wine glass between her fingers. Patricia smiled, shaking her head.
"Never in a million years."
But I couldn't be happier with how things turned out. The business success is wonderful, of course, but seeing you so comfortable in your own skin, that's the real victory. Elena nodded, thinking about the long road from Amari to where she sat now. The journey hadn't always been easy. There had been awkward encounters with old acquaintances, painful conversations with extended family members who struggled to understand, moments of doubt and fear. But there had also been joy, acceptance, and a deep sense of rightness that confirmed she had made the correct choice. The geometric patterns that had first caught her attention had become both her professional signature and a personal symbol of her transformation, complex, bold, and beautifully distinctive. "To unexpected journeys," Elena said, raising her glass in a toast. "And to having the courage to follow where they lead," Patricia added, clinking her glass against her daughter's. As they finished their meal and stepped out into the Chicago night, Elena felt a profound sense of peace. The geometric patterns of her pantyhose caught the streetlights as she walked, creating shifting diamonds of illumination against the darkness, a perfect metaphor for the light she had found by embracing her true self.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!